Good morning, I'm Gretchen Ho. We're coming to you live on this 11th day of July. It is a Friday, bringing you Morning Matters because your mornings matter. Let's get to the stories that matter today. A sack containing suspected burnt human remains has been found in Taal Lake, which authorities believe may be a major development in the case of the missing Sabongeros. 3 Filipinos are confirmed dead in a Houthi attack on a ship carrying 21 Filipino crew members in the Red Sea. 8 have been rescued, but 10 more Filipinos are still being searched for. Now, that's according to the Department of Migrant Workers. Former Makati Mayor Abby Binay has denied accusations made by her sister, Mayor Nancy Binay, concerning the disrupted subway project. She challenged the current administration to study first and cease undermining her legacy.
Mag-aral muna sila, magpapahinga muna ako, magkita na lang kami after 3 years. Maaga pa.
Welcome to our program, Morning Matters, where we talk about the issues you need to know for the rest of your day. Now, first on the agenda, a possible breakthrough in the long-running search for several missing Sabongeros. Authorities have found a sack containing suspected burnt human remains in the waters of Taal Lake. Here is the report.
Authorities may have just found a major lead in the case of the missing Sabongeros. During a technical site assessment at Taal Lake on Thursday, a team from the PNP CIDG and Philippine Coast Guard recovered a white sack containing what appears to be burned human bones. The Justice Department confirms this discovery came even before the official technical dives could begin, which are scheduled for Friday, July 11. The DOJ says the next steps are to formally determine if the remains are human and to conduct DNA testing to see if they match any of the families of the missing individuals. Prior to the discovery, authorities had been scoring sections of Taal Lake in Laurel and Talisay, Batangas in search of human remains. DOJ Assistant Secretary Mico Clavano says this is part of a technical site assessment. The goal? To study the lake's depth and condition before the first official dive.
Dahil po sa mga equipment na pinapahiram po sa atin, we are quite confident that we can get a good picture of what it looks like down there. If not just the depth, pati yung map ng ground makita na po natin.
The site assessment is based on leads from Julie Dondon Patidongan alias Totoy, who pointed to the lake as a burial site. Totoy earlier clarified he did not personally witness the killings or disposal of the bodies. But what if no corpses are recovered? The DOJ says it still has other pieces of evidence that could back a strong murder case.
So we do hope to see remains that will match the DNA of those missing cockfight enthusiasts. However, even if we do not find the bodies, what we have to prove is the fact of death. No? That is what is important in a murder case.
Over at the CIDG in Camp Crame, relatives of missing cockfight enthusiasts reiterate their demand for justice. One victim's mother said she wants to refile complaints they were urged to withdraw earlier. The case had been settled, but she insists it was done in bad faith.
Bali-balita po noon na ganun nga po nagkabayaran. Siya daw pang nakatanggap po. Yung asawa niya dati. Kasi masakit sa isang magulang na ganun ang nangyari sa anak ko po. Kaya hanggang hindi po siya maalis sa puso ko, sa isip ko, araw-gabi po.
She also pleaded with policemen tagged by Patidongan in the case to cooperate with the investigation. This is also the plea of other relatives of the missing Sabongeros.
Sabi po ng whistleblower, tinurn over daw po sa pulis. Pakiusap naman po, ibalik na lang kung siya ay buhay pa. Pero maski na masakit man tanggapin, kung isa siya sa mga pinatay niyo, wala na po po magagawa.
Hindi magandang nakaladkad yung mga pulis o kung sino mga government agencies dito na nagpagamit at para lang maisakatuparan yung mga gusto nila.
Let's discuss the authorities' latest discovery from the Taal Lake with Philippine Coast Guard spokesperson Captain Noemi Girao Kayabyab. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, Gretchen, and to all our listeners.
Okay, Captain, first of all, tell us all about yesterday. Ano po mga nagawa ng Philippine Coast Guard? Because I understand that today is the start of the actual diving. But yesterday, what led to the discovery of this sack that could contain human remains?
Well, tama ka dyan, Gretchen. Kahapon, so nagkaroon po tayo ng site assessment. So, chinek po natin yung characteristic po ng ating magiging operating area. So, as per survey assessment po ng ating mga technical divers, yung water ay medyo murky or malabo and medyo maburak. So, ang lalim rin nito ay nasa 30 to 40 meters. So, medyo malalim din ang magiging operating area natin. At ngayon po ay naka-standby na ang ating mga divers and ready to do their first diving operations dito sa ating searching area. And as to the SAC na nabanggit mo nga kanina, so it needs to be validated or verified. And unfortunately, this is not, the Philippine Coast Guard is not in the position to attest anything on this subject. And the Philippine Coast Guard is just here to support the lead agency for the conduct of the diving operation. And there is an appropriate agency, Ms. Gretchen, to give further details on this item.
Oo, pero ito po ay sa po banda nahanap, yung sack po ng may possible human remains?
Ms. Gretchen, if I could just refer the further details of this subject sa ating lead agency na lang po. Kasi the main purpose of the Philippine Coast Guard really is to conduct this dive operation. And mostly, kung may makikita man po tayo mga pieces of evidence, we usually turn over to the lead agency and for them to give the further details as to this
Which is the
matter.
PNP CIDG?
Tama po yan, Ms. Gretchen.
Okay, we got it. Okay. Okay, so for today, the diving will begin. And what is the radius within the Taal Lake that you're looking at? Paano nyo po na-identify sa laki po ng Taal Lake, kung saan po kayo magsisimula at saan po kayo iikot?
Yes, ang searching area natin ngayon ay sa May Laurel. So ang ating identified location is based on the intelligence and information that we receive from the lead agency and probably from the information from the witness. So ang magiging search pattern po natin, kasi meron po tayong identified location, so para mas masinsin po ang paggawa ng diving operation ng ating mga technical divers, the search pattern is 100 meters by 100 meters. So it can be a seaward or leeward. So, ibig sabihin po neto, ang magiging searching area po natin is from shoreline to possible area or possible area to the shoreline. Para talagang makita po natin yung kabuuan. Kasi katulad nga po sa result ng site assessment po natin kahapon, medyo malabo at maburak po yung area. So, magsisimula po tayo doon sa identified locations po na ibinigay po sa atin.
Okay. Ano po hahanapin natin? Kasi kung human remains lang, talagang ano po yun, no? Hindi makikita pagka madilim. So, what would they look for?
Well, ang naging guidance naman sa atin during the coordinating meeting kahapon is all possible item, all suspicious materials na makikita doon sa diving operations natin. So kung ano man yung makakapa na medyo suspicious, lahat po yun na iaangat natin. And probably that would form part of the evidences. So wala pong specific but all possible items and suspicious material na makikita during the operation.
Okay. Yun nabanggit po ninyo 100 meters by 100 meters. Pero yung total na lalim po ng Taal Lake, I believe nasa 172. Is that correct? Or
Tama
ito lang
po
talaga
yan.
Oo, go ahead.
Yes. Actually, yung lalim talaga ng Taal Lake, pumapasok po siya ng 200 meters. Pero etong search area po natin ngayon, so na-identify po natin na ang lalim po niya ay 30 to 40 meters. So again, medyo malawak yung search area, kaya mas maganda na mas concentrated and identify yung location. And based on our meeting kahapon, etong part po ito ang tututukan ngayon ng Philippine Coast Guard. So may lalim po siya ng 30 to 40 meters po.
How many divers are you planning to deploy today?
We have 33 divers sa staging area po natin. So magkakaroon po ito ng shifting para hindi naman po ma-expose lahat yung ating mga divers. And considering po yung challenge pagdating sa weather, at meron pa rin po tayong binabantayan na alert level status po ng Taal Volcano.
Okay. Gaano po kaya kahirap yan? I mean, given yun nga pa the circumstances that surround this dive, what would be the challenges and the possible complications?
Well, ang nakikita natin, una yung malabo na na tubig. Kaya during morning session talaga, itong umaga talaga i-maximize natin yung ating pagdadive. Kasi kung mapapansin natin, Gretchen, pagdating ng hapon, medyo makulimlim, medyo malakas yung hangin, and malakas ang current sa area. So pag ganito kasi, medyo delikado rin para sa ating mga technical divers. So as of now, yun yung mga challenges na nakikita natin. Pero as to the equipment and the skills of our divers, they are highly skilled divers. So rest assured na magagawa naman natin kung anong ibibigay sa ating mga instruction.
In terms of shifting, gaano katagal po ang isang shift of divers?
Well, depende yan, Gretchen. But usually 1 to 2 hours. Pero with the condition of the water, depende yan sa lalim, no? At yung visibility sa ilalim ng tubig. So, since may ginagamit tayo mga tangke, so depende po yan kung yung utilization po ng mga divers po natin. So, I could not mention specific time, pero depende po sa gagawing sisid po ng ating mga divers.
Okay. Is the Philippine Coast Guard at this alone currently? Because the government has mentioned that they might tap into the foreign help, no, the Japanese government, to help us with this, with their technologies.
Yes, tama po kayo. Same with the Philippine Coast Guard. Ang atin naman pong presence ngayon is due to the request of the DOJ. So since medyo unique po, peculiar itong situation po natin, we are talking about criminal investigation. So kailangan may legal clearance. So if ever there would be partners na maitatap ang ating DOJ, so probably it will be a DOJ to speak on this possibility of adding more divers and resources for this operation.
Pero for now po, PCG muna, ang sole agency that will conduct the dives.
Yes, as of now po. And kailangan din po natin yung mga advanced technology. So ngayong linggo rin po ay paparating yung aming underwater remotely operated vehicle. So it would also support yung diving natin. Kasi nga medyo malalim nga at medyo maburak yung sa tubig. So etong mga ROVs natin ang isa sa mga tutulong na para mas madaling ma-identify kung meron po talagang subject sa ilalim po ng tubig. So itong ROV po natin has the capability to pick up an object. So mas magiging madali po if ever yung pagkuha po natin ng mga evidences. Kung meron
Sorry,
po
I
sa
lost you there.
identified location natin.
It has the ability to detect, ano po?
To pick up an object, it has the ability to monitor kung ano po yung nakikita sa ilalim ng tubig. And it has the capability to pick up an object. So, pwede pong hindi na po bababa yung ating divers once na magamit natin itong ROV. Kung meron man pong makita sa ilalim ng tubig, it has the capability to pick up an object.
Okay. And then, these ROVs, are they like drones? Malaki po siya. Ano po yung capacity po niya? And how many of those do we have?
As of now, Ms. Gretchen, we have one. So paparating ito ngayon. And ito po ay pagmamayari po ng Philippine Coast Guard. So aside doon sa mga underwater ROVs natin, nasa area na rin po yung mga UAV, yung unmanned aerial vehicle na equipment po natin. So this would also support yung aerial survey para makita natin kung nasaan na po ba yung operating area ng ating mga divers.
Okay. Si General Torre mentioned that it could possibly be several areas here. What would meron po bang instruction po sa inyo na maaaring marami yung binagsakan nitong mga katawan?
Well, based on the information, yes, may probability. Pero kami naman po sa Philippine Coast Guard is we'll just get the instruction and information from the lead agency. Kasi yun nga po, medyo malaki yung ating search area. So mas maganda po talaga na meron pong naibababa sa aming specific location para we could safely and efficiently deploy our technical divers.
Pero dito po sa Taal Lake, buti po nagtuloy po tayo. I mean, kahit na naka-alert level 1 at may pressure build up, it seems. What gave the Philippine Coast Guard the confidence to give the green light on this?
Well, in every operations natin, yes, you have mentioned na meron ng alert level status. Meron naman po tayong experts from the field folks na nagbibigay po sa atin ng orientation before we do the diving operations po. So reliant po tayo sa ibibigay po na guidance ng field folks kung safe po ang magiging diving po ng ating mga technical divers.
Okay, medyo mukhang it is a tough task ahead. Pero again, I guess the priority would be the safety of our Philippine Coast Guard who are out there looking for pieces of evidence. Maraming salamat po for the update and good luck po. We hope to hear from you again.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Gretchen, and good morning.
That was Captain Nomi Girao Kayabyab joining us from the Philippine Coast Guard. 3 of the 21 Filipino seafarers aboard the MV Eternity Sea were confirmed dead after a missile attack by Houthi rebels in the Red Sea. Department of Migrant Workers Undersecretary Bernard Olalia said the crew members were killed in the initial missile strike and did not drown. He added that the department has already notified the victims' families and is coordinating necessary support. Olalia also urged Filipino seafarers to avoid the area and reminded them of their right to refusal, which allows them to decline deployment to high-risk zones without penalty. Meanwhile, Migrant Workers Secretary Hans Kakdak said 3 more Filipino seafarers from MV Eternity Sea have been rescued, bringing the total to 8.
Bibigyan natin ng warning lahat ng mga seafarers natin. Nasasabihin natin, wag kayong maglalayag sa Red Sea kasi may kaguluhan. Bawal kayong lumayag doon. Kaya meron kaming tinatawag na right of first refusal. Kapag ang barko ay pupunta doon, may karapatan kayo na huwag sumakay, may karapatan kayo na bumaba, may karapatan kayo na tumanggi. At yun po ang bilin natin sa lahat ng manning agency.
Coming right up, in response to a 20% U.S. tariff on local exports, Presidential Aide for Economic Affairs Frederick Go stated that the government is concerned and that a delegation will be sent to Washington. And regarding the controversial subway project, former Makati Mayor Abby Binay refuted allegations from sister Mayor Nancy Binay. All that and more when Morning Matters returns. Keep it here on One News.
I've always wanted
Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. After the U.S. imposed a 20% tariff on Philippine exports, Special Assistant to the President for Investment and Economic Affairs, Frederick Go, said the government is concerned. He noted key officials will travel to Washington, where the tariff hike will be part of the discussions. Here is the report.
The United States has imposed a 20% tariff on the Philippines, a move that comes even as trade talks remain underway. To put that in perspective, the 20% levy is 3 points higher than the 17% rate imposed on Liberation Day last April 2. And the Philippines is not alone. Japan, Malaysia, Brunei, and Brazil are among the countries also hit with increased import taxes. In a 2-page letter addressed to President Bongbong Marcos, which is identical to letters sent to other countries, Trump justified the duties, citing long-standing trade deficits. In 2024 alone, the U.S. trade deficit with the Philippines rose to nearly $5 billion, a 22% increase from the previous year. Unless a new deal is struck within 3 weeks, the 20% tariff takes effect on August 1st, and that's on top of other sectoral tariffs the U.S. will impose. Here at home, the Department of Trade and Industry confirms it has received the notice on the tariff hike. In a statement, Trade Secretary Cristina Roque expressed concern over the decision despite continuous engagements. Roque emphasized the 20% rate is the second lowest among other countries, but warned that unilateral trade actions could destabilize global supply chains. A Philippine delegation is scheduled to hold discussions in the U.S. next week, just days before the new rate takes effect. Since May, government officials have been negotiating with U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer. Leading the pack are Special Assistant to the President for Investment and Economic Affairs Frederick Go and Trade Secretary Cristina Roque, who initially sought to negotiate the rate down to zero.
We are concerned that the U.S. has decided to impose a 20% tariff on Philippine exports. The fact remains, however, that the 20% rate is the second lowest among all reciprocal tariffs that the U.S. has imposed on the region, the lowest being the 10% of Singapore. Myself, together with DTI Secretary Chris Roque and Undersecretary Perry Rodolfo and Undersecretary Alan Hepty, will be flying to the United States next week. This is actually a scheduled trip to the United States even before today's announcement. No? So there will be meetings next week amongst the trade representatives ng Amerika po at ng Pilipinas.
On Monday, Trump announced similar letters were sent to 14 nations in total, among them Japan and Malaysia, which received even higher tariffs compared to that issued in April. Trump once again defended his decision to charge steeper tariffs.
The formula was a formula based on common sense, based on deficits, based on how we've been treated over the years, and based on raw numbers. And we really haven't had too many complaints, because I'm keeping them at a very low number, very conservative, as you would say, number. And we haven't had, I'm sure they will be complaining at certain points, but we haven't had complaints. We've been treated very unfairly by both friend and foe.
Dr. John Paulo Rivera of the Philippine Institute for Development Studies warned that the 20% U.S. tariff on Philippine exports could lead to job losses in key sectors. He said workers in garments, electronics, and other export industries are at risk if higher prices push American buyers to source products elsewhere. Rivera noted that lower demand from the United States could slow production, cut exporter income, and force firms to reduce their workforce, potentially driving up unemployment.
Kailangan mag-ingat, no, o maging mapanuri, no, ang ating mga industriya katulad ng manufacturing, no, sa factory, garments at textiles, electronics, at ating agriculture. Kasi ito po yung mga produkto, no, ayon sa datos, ito yung mga produkto na may malaki tayong export patungo sa Amerika. At kapag bumaba ang demand ng mga Amerikano para sa mga produktong Pilipino, dahil ito ay mas mahal na sa Amerika, maaaring magbawas ng production tayo dito sa Pilipinas, magbabawas din ng trabaho.
To ease the impact, he urged the government to seek exemptions or reduce rates through diplomatic channels. Rivera also stressed the need to diversify export markets and lessen dependence on the United States.
O baka pwede pa tayong humiling ng mga exemptions o adjustments o palugit pa, no, patungkol dito sa taripa na to. Nadadaan naman po yan, no, sa diplomatikong pag-uusap. Kailangan nating palawakin yung ating merkado. No? Kailangan nating maghanap ng ibang bansa na pwede nating pag-exportan bukod sa Amerika. Hindi po tayo dapat dumidepende sa iisa o iilang bansa na pwede nating pag-exportan ng ating mga produkto.
Malacanang insists Vice President Sara Duterte does not need an attack dog. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro says the Vice President has no need for anyone to go on the offensive. Now, this comes after newly named OVP spokesperson Ruth Castelo said she was instructed to focus only on good news and accomplishments. Castelo, a former DTI undersecretary, also denies she was appointed to politicize her position.
VP Sara doesn't need anymore an attack dog. Hindi niya na po kailangan ng isang attack dog. So, you know what I mean?
I am not an attack dog. Not being an attack dog, I will not go on the offensive. I will just report.
Former Makati Mayor Abby Binay denies her sister, Mayor Nancy Binay's accusations over the controversial subway project. During a press conference, she maintained the settlement agreement with InfraDev is valid and not a midnight deal. Abby said the 8.96 billion peso buyout was necessary after the Supreme Court's ruling transferring 10 barangays to Taguig. She defended the deal, claiming Makati stands to gain 90 billion pesos in return. The former mayor also challenged her sister's administration to, quote, study first and stop undermining her legacy.
Kung tutuusin, pwede naman na i-withdraw nila yung settlement agreement na hindi na kailangan ilabas because technically confidential nga yung negotiation. Hindi nila kailangan madira ng kahit sino. I can only think of one thing. It is really to undermine my legacy. Mag-aral muna sila, magpapahinga muna ako, magkita na lang kami after 3 years. Maaga pa.
When we return, Angie King gets candid about her life from business and sustainability to her relationship with Joey King. Stay tuned for that. Morning Matters will be back after a quick break. Good morning, I'm Gretchen Ho, and you're watching Morning Matters. On Long Take, we had the opportunity to sit down with Angie King for a wide-ranging conversation. She opens up about business, sustainability, and her relationship with Joey, including what it meant to come out in 2016 and grow through change together. Let's take a look at that interview. I've always wanted to sit down with you in a conversation because you seem to be a woman of many hats.
Too many.
Oh, you are a car racer. Of course, I got to know you there.
Yes.
From the racing scene. You are an entrepreneur,
Yes.
as we all know. And now you're a farmer.
I've actually been a farmer since 2016.
Tagal na.
Yeah, it's been, and even before our farm project, in our condo before, I used to have my own experiments. So I've always been into biology and science.
And parang, to be honest, we never expected an Angie to be a farmer. Because you seem so like lofty, parang, you know, the lifestyle and all. Pero what led you to?
I think it's because people don't realize, like we were talking, I grew up in Taal Lake. On the weekends, after school, Friday, my dad would drive us out and we'd spend the whole week in nature. That's why I grew in love with nature because I grew up also there, diba? We were taught that, you know, when you leave nature, you take everything that you came with, don't leave a trace. So we were so used to cleaning up as we go. And then when he passed away, I inherited the farm. Well, it wasn't the farm yet, it was our family lake house. And then I decided to convert it to a farm. So the first step was, I was like, oh, this is easy. I'll buy fruit trees, I'll get some bees, everything will be so easy. And 10 years later, we're still learning how to become a better farm, more efficient, and using different practices. Because in our farm, we do hydroponics, aeroponics, we do grow beds, we do vermiculture.
Galing, grabe.
I have the bees. At one point during the pandemic, I made a floating farm from bamboo raft and water hyacinth. So I took in so much knowledge from books, YouTube, and then experts, and then we started combining everything. And
you had the time. Perfect timing to do that during the pandemic.
We moved over to the farm. It was our retirement project, which got fast-tracked. And then after that, we're like, oh, okay pala to have full-time this life. So I thought actually we weren't going to come back now to the city. But, you know, things started calming down and we're now back to racing cars. But farming is my opposite life to the speed of racing.
It slows everything down, right?
Yes, and I can't force anything, right?
And
you know this.
Nga.
We implement something, it takes 60 to 90 days.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a test of patience.
Is it working?
But do you farm yourself? I mean,
Yes,
like,
of course.
you get your hands dirty, ikaw talaga nagtatanim.
With everything that I do, I'm hands-on. So you can ask me how to weld, how to make compost.
Galing.
How to, like, our first grow bed, I assembled it on my own. Because the staff, when you're dealing with older staff, they have resistance to change. And I was like, you know what?
Cultures.
I'm going to do this on my own and show you this is going to work. Because before me, my dad had so many consultants. They did biodynamic farming, organic farming, and it was okay. It didn't really work. They weren't really wowed. But when I came in with science knowledge and I have experts on speed dial from UP Los Baños, so we were able to show that even with our clay, we can grow things.
Clay?
So, the soil in Caliraya is called Louisiana clay. It is inert and acidic.
So it's not really
it's the
ideal.
worst for farming.
Kaya pala you have towers.
Exactly. So I got into the towers as a surefire backup way to grow vegetables for the business. But in between, we've always been learning how to soil farm. So we're always working on what they call amending the soil. You're making your own soil so that you can have nutritious fruits and vegetables. So we do all of that in my farm. So when I had a consultant come a few weeks ago, he was saying like, you know, you're fighting nature here, right? I go, yeah, but we're showing people that you can farm anywhere. It's just the willpower to learn and make mistakes and learn from it again and execute.
So, yung all kinds of farming na binanggit mo kanina, all of that still exists within your farm? Or have you zoned in on one?
The floating farm, we started just planting grass for the livestock. So we don't farm per se anymore on that. But we were able to prove that we grew tomatoes, bell peppers, kangkong on that with zero maintenance. Because it's in the water, it's self-watering. Diba? It's like a self-wicking farm. We did that because it was from YouTube. I saw the Bangladesh farms and then the Mexico Chinampas, and they were doing that way back. And I was like, I want to try, right? Water hyacinth is a pest, and in Caliraya it clogs the dam, so they are appreciative if we take it out of the water. So it's actually a big part of our compost because it's free substrate that we will pick up dry and compost. Put it to the grinder, compost
Galing.
it.
Nakakatulong pa kayo doon.
But in between, I have aquaponics, which is basically fish with a hydroponic setup. We have soil farming. We have 1,000 calamansi trees. And then,
Whoa!
And then, obviously, like we've also bought a bunch of other fruit trees. So because the bees need food source. So, and then in between, we recently put up like 70 grow beds where we can grow all the root crops naman, because root crops are very hard to grow in the soil also. And it hurts the back. That's why the grow bed's nice. It's about this high and it's easier for us to access as farmers. So I try to always bring in technology to help my people do more farming stuff than maintenance stuff.
I understand what you mean when you say, being hands-on is really the best way, because you get to see things for yourself, how they work, how they don't work, and adjust right away. It's much like how it is in business, right? So how is, why the rebranding of Victoria Court to Hotel Ava? Because we know you as the Miss Victoria Court.
I used to market Victoria Court so strongly. It was a family heritage brand that I carried through motorsports, through sports, with sponsored teams. And it got to the point where me and my brother had marketing differences. I wanted to go a certain way, he wanted to go a different way. And it was a long discussion with my management team, because obviously they didn't want to give it up because it's such an iconic brand. You go abroad and an OFW sees the logo, they know exactly that's from Manila. So it got to the point where they finally got tired also of coordinating with the other group. So we were doing the brand study 2017 and we shelved it because we're not ready. Diba? It's hard to start up a new brand. During the pandemic, unlike most companies, I closed my business. I retired all my employees, and we were prepared to shut down for a year or so. Within 4 months, my staff was like, can we open up again? And I'm like, what if you guys get sick? And they're like, we'll sign a waiver that you're not responsible. So we opened the business at a 50% pay cut because there was no business, diba? Back then it was quarantine. There was quarantine hotels, and then basta government pwede, pero guest, like,
in short, magulo. Magulo yung ano.
So there is no market.
They were using hotels as a quarantine stay.
For flying into Manila, diba? 2-week quarantine in the hotel, 7 to 10 days, plus the test and all that. So we didn't know where we were headed. And by the time we were about to reopen, that's when my team was like, I think this is time. It's a great time for us to rebrand. So we pulled out that study and we looked at it. I called my brother. I go, I will give you the logo. Just pay for all my rebranding. So because he's kuya, I basically said, this is my cost to rebrand. So yun ang logo. I'll deal with the marketing later on how to get my new brand out into the market. But it wasn't just a rebrand of name. We changed the look. We changed the policies, how we treat our employees, how we take care of like coordinating with suppliers in terms of forcing them to use less plastic. So we try to make sure that
But is this a hotel now? I mean,
it's still a garage drive-in motel. So we're still a motor home, right?
Yeah.
Motoring hotel, which means your car is underneath your room.
Yeah.
So it's actually, I think the design of a motel actually makes more sense than a hotel because as soon as you walk down your room, you're in your car. Diba? Not like a hotel, you have to go through the elevator, the lobby, and then go down to the basement. So as soon as you wake up, you get down, boom, you're in your
But
car.
what did the study tell you?
Oh my God, the design team that we got, they were having the most difficult time to find, I guess, a substitute logo that would, a name that would live up to Victoria Court. It was very difficult. But we made it in such a way, I told the team, like, if we do all the right moves, marketing will follow us. So we started off with taking care of our employees, right? So we guaranteed 14-month pay, free healthcare, free food, free coffee, and then we have 6 months paid maternity leave, 3 months paid paternity leave, and then free employees meal for when you're working. So we also did the work from home thing. We still do it actually. Well, most companies took it out. So I believe in the work-life balance. So when we did all that, and then we changed the hotel to have all greenery. So if you look at the hotel, it has wall planters everywhere. So I carried that theme. We are solar also, and then we capture rainwater for all the watering.
Sustainability.
We sort of encompass everything, like everything that
So it's
is
purely
my
solar
extension.
or
No, it is
grid tie?
sharing.
I want to get your mind on EVs and hybrids.
Oh my God, my mind is not there at all.
I mean, are those really environmentally friendly? Did you study that?
Yes. It's always at the back of my mind. So if you plug your EV to your house and it's still on the grid, then you're still consuming.
Kasi coal pa rin yung source niya. So it depends talaga sa source.
If your house is off the grid and you're on solar with wind or hydro energy, then yes, tailpipe-wise, you're probably not emitting. But the problem with EVs is the battery life cycle. After 10 years, what happens to the lithium battery?
Yun din yung inisip ko eh. I mean, you're gonna change your car.
A lot of the Chinese manufacturers say that they'll take the battery back. But no one really knows because the market's so new. And, for me, EV fires are the worst. If you ever seen an EV fire, no amount of fire trucks can put it out because it is a different chemical fire.
Really?
There hasn't been a technology to put out an EV fire. So I haven't seen any around the globe.
So you're not driving an EV?
Zero.
No EV in your collection
EV
of cars?
mountain bike.
Okay. So what fire did you get caught in? Speaking of.
The fire was November last year. It was very traumatic. It was a 90s car. It was a 98 Acura NSX. It was basically my epitome of my favorite JDM or Japanese domestic market car. But we got it from the US. I bought it from a friend. And I spent the whole year fixing it, like buying parts and getting the right things and waiting to order things. I picked it up literally like 24 hours before it burned. It was in break-in kilometers. And I was literally vlogging it because I enjoyed, I waited 1 year to build this car. I wanted to share the experience. Because it was such a triumph to finally get it out of the car shop. And it was running. And literally, like, I came from another project and I exited Cavitex, got on South Luzon Expressway. And within 10 minutes, a truck was honking at me. And I looked at my rearview mirror, boom, fire.
Wow.
And, the funny part is I was basically vlogging the whole thing. I didn't obviously think I was going to catch on fire. But,
and you were so calm.
But I captured the whole event. And everyone's like, I got messages on my YouTube like, is this scripted? Like, because I look so calm, right?
So but maybe as a racer, you kind of know what to do already, right?
I've never been
because of that.
in the racetrack, I almost burned one of my Porsches before. But thank God, 5 fire extinguishers put it out. So I have experienced the fire, but it has been put out. I haven't experienced losing a car to a fire. So that was a different feeling, just to literally watch your project go
Which
up
is
in
which is
flames.
this one.
Yes.
Where did it go wrong?
We don't know, right? So I'd send it to a reputable car shop. I get hate online. People think that I assembled the mechanical side. And it's like, no, I actually sent it to someone else because it was out of my scope. So the US friends that I have think that it is fuel. A fuel line popped and it sprayed the headers and the car caught fire. So super but
Where
yeah.
is the car now? Total.
It is, well, I haven't announced it, but we put it in a container and we're sending it off to get repaired in the US. So
you're still working on it?
It's been like, I delayed the whole thing because I didn't want to face the problem, but we finally got around to doing it, which was actually the worst timing because containers now to the US is so expensive because no one wants their containers stuck in the port because of all this tariff things with the US. So, but it is on the way. I haven't had an update if it's landed yet.
And how much did you spend on that car?
A lot. The base car, my friend sold it to me about 10 and a half. And then the parts were another 5.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So it's sad. It's sad because there was no also liability from the people who assembled the car. So it was one of those like, ay, sorry na lang. I was like, oh, okay.
And you have nothing to go by?
I don't know
paperwork,
I don't know why.
Hindi mo nilang hinabol?
It's kind of obvious that there was accountability, right? But
Yeah.
I'm not the type to make habol because, if it's going to cause a mess in the industry, it's like, you know what?
Yeah.
If you guys don't want to own up, then I can't do anything. I can't, because that would mean me suing them, and you know how court cases take here, they take forever. So
That's correct.
it's another waste of energy.
How do you balance all of these ventures? Like, it's a lot, and you're hands-on with these businesses. How do you take care of each one? And these are like different fields, like hospitality, there's farming, as you mentioned, there's also car customization.
So for Hotel Ava, I have a great team. We have a great management team. I have a great COO, and he 95% of the time knows my decision. So he makes them for me, and he just FYIs me. So operational wise with the hotel, I help with marketing, strategies, budgets, and the F&B. Because cooking is also one of my pastimes that I really love to eat and cook. So I don't do any more operational work, but we help design rooms also because I know material sciences, like we do composite stuff. I've been getting into 3D printing. So even that, I've been racking my brain to learn how to design in 3D, and it's a whole
3D
different...
printing of what exactly?
For now, it's 3D printing car parts, but we're going to get to that stage where we can 3D print accessories for the hotel. So if we have the Star Wars room, we have a droid, we can 3D print that now. So we're getting to the stage where 3D printing allows us to basically make anything from scratch.
I was reading through your profile, and I saw at a particular point in your life, 2016.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Was the time when you came out as Angie from Ian, right?
Yes.
But it happened in a weird way. It was through Facebook that
Online.
It came out.
Yeah, no.
What happened there? I mean,
so my father had passed away July 5, 2015. And I was already sort of on hormones. So I was already planning to come out. My dad knew I was planning to come out. And it got to the point where I had a second Instagram account under Angie Mead, but it was locked, right? Private account. So it got to the point where my phones, because I wasn't friends with, my social media wasn't connected to Ian King, right? I don't know what happened, but I saved the screenshot where it said it notified all my friends saying like, your friend Ian King is on Instagram, and then Angie Mead, like something like that.
And then may picture na.
No, I just had that notification.
Oo, tapos?
So, it got a few clicks. People would screenshot, zoom in, and then it went on chat groups and then all this. And then it got to the point where my cousins and my friends who knew were all sending me photos.
Kasi may hinala na nun?
Yeah,
I mean, were you...
Well, so my friends knew early on.
Okay.
2007, I told my friends. 2009, I told my parents and my closer like stepmoms and relatives. And it still took that long for me to come out. But it was when 2013 when my dad got super sick. We almost lost him in Europe. And I realized like, life's so short. I don't want to live like this. I want to be me. And that's when, it became our hardest moments with Joey, because it was a challenging of societal norms and gender identities and roles. So it was a trying, like 4 years for us before things became like, oh, nothing's wrong. Like everything's back to normal in a way where...
How does that work? I mean, like your relationship.
Oh my God! So we were ready to call it off because we were getting toxic to each other. She wasn't getting what she wanted. I wasn't getting what I wanted, and it got to the point after she had her own consultations. I had my own consultations, and we got to the understanding. Like, I told her, transition isn't overnight. If you wake up in the morning, you like what you see, then you still love me. So let's roll with that. So we brought it down to the daily basis of like,
But you were so sure you didn't want to break up.
I was sure that I wanted to stay with her because me and Joy's conversations always like I can't beat this conversation. Our communication skills with each other of like how we hear each other and understand each other, we're always in sync. So we knew that about our relationship because
it's difficult to find that with
even
anyone,
on our
just
first
anyone.
date, like before we had dinner, we were like 3 hours in conversation.
Wow.
Like we hadn't eaten anything and we're just drinking wine and you're just chatting and chatting. I'm like, this has never happened to me on the first date where there's that awkwardness and dead air. We never had dead air, like zero dead air. And we were just chatting and chatting. I'm like, this is great.
What is your advice for entrepreneurs who want to build something successful, an empire, business, something that would do so much good, but they're not sure where to go amidst all of the possibilities?
Excuse me. Like, that's like, I could go on, right, about advice, but I guess I would break it down to do something that you don't mind doing day in and day out and get really good at it, right? There's a lot of like follow your passion, but sometimes passion doesn't pay. But if there's something that you don't mind doing daily and you see yourself excelling in that by sheer amount of work hours you're putting in, then just get good at that so that you have a life skill. You have a life skill that you can lean on. And right, if you're well, nowadays it's hard to be an editor because AI is taking over. But the nice thing with like life skills like farming, there's no way AI can take over that because it needs the human input to see what is wrong, right? AI will troubleshoot possibly, but it still needs the human to...
In China, they're using drones.
It's... Yes, if you're using chemical fertilizers,
yes.
right? But the way we're doing it, the organic way of, composting, deciding like, oh, this needs more carbon, this needs more nitrogen, that is human input, right? I don't think the robots are going to come and replace that yet. But, and yeah, like, just because people tell you to not do something, don't listen to that. Listen to your inner voice of like, if you really want something really bad, like keep at it, because failure is only failure when you give up.
That's it for now. Watch the full interview with Angie King on Long Take. That's coming right up here on One News. And here is a perfect story to end the week. Mattel takes a big step forward in inclusivity with the launch of its first Barbie doll with type 1 diabetes. The doll was developed in partnership with Breakthrough T1D, a global nonprofit supporting diabetes awareness. Now, she features a continuous glucose monitor on her arm, an insulin pump on her waist, and accessories to help manage her condition. Mattel says this move aims to reflect real medical conditions and let more children see themselves in their toys. The Diabetes Barbie joins Mattel's growing line of diverse dolls, including those with disabilities and different body types. And just like that Mattel doll and Angie King, may we all come to love ourselves even more, accept ourselves for who we truly are, and enjoy the rest of the weekend, of course, doing things that we love. And that wraps up today's episode of Morning Matters. We hope we've given you the right start to your morning. Let's go ahead and make the day matter. My name is Gretchen Hall. We are One News, all sides, all the time.